So for step 16, attaching the front suspension. Well, we're going to grab our front gearbox and then we're going to attach both sides of the suspension onto it through screw pins, but we also have this B11 piece, which are those right there. And then here's our axles and of course our screw pins that we're going to need. So we've got a lot of greasing up to do here. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to work on this side first. We're going to screw in the bottom. Then we'll add the drive shaft and then screw in the top part of the suspension. So I'll set this up and let's put it together. So if we start here, we know that we need the MB8, which is the longer screw pin. So we need to grease this up. Just like that. And we have this piece to put on, which is the B11 piece, which is going to basically attach to this by just sliding over top. You can see that the other piece is kind of fitting inside of there. And then we're going to slide this whole thing through. So if I stick that screw pin through to there, then we'll grab the bottom part of the gearbox, slide this through. There we go. And it's through to the other side. So I can now screw this in place. And if I do this from holding it down, I can use my finger to stop it from turning and popping up. So there we go. So that's in, and that is nice and smooth. So then we've got our drive shaft. So we definitely need to grease up the dog bone itself. There we go. And do the same thing on the other side. There we go. And now we're going to take this, slide that into there, slide that into there, pull that up forward just to make sure that it's correct. And you can see that it's going to attach just like that on this side. And that means we take the smaller screw pin, and hopefully that'll hold. I'm going to grease this up. There we go. And we're going to slide that through and through the gearbox. And again, same idea. I'm going to use my finger to hold that so that it doesn't turn up on itself. And now that's nice and smooth and everything's in place, and we've got our drive shaft nicely inside. And you can see that the piece that we put on, which we'll be putting on either side, is for the shock that's going to sit in between. And that's how the suspension on the front is going to work. So let's do the same thing for the other side. So we know that this piece here is going to slide onto there, just like that. It's kind of loose, doesn't really hold anything. And then we'll take our screw pin, grease that up. There we go. Now we're going to take this, I'm going to slide it through to pretty much the end. Grab our gearbox, put that through and push, and hopefully that goes through. Yes, it does. So I can hold this down, and we're going to screw, actually I'll hold it this way. We're going to screw this in a bit just to make sure that it's going in. Yes. And that's all the way, and it's moving fine. So next step, let's grease up our dog bone. Same thing on the other side. There we go. And we will, oh, that's popped out, but easy fix. Let's stick our drive bone into the joint, And turn this around, put that down there. It's going to hold a little bit by the looks of it, so it should be okay. That will give us a chance to grease up the smaller screw pin. There we go. And we can now slide this through. There we go. And we'll screw this in place. And there we go. So there is our front suspension complete. And you can see that if the shock was sitting there, it would end up moving just like that. So step 16 is complete. So we can now move on to step 17, which is also a new bag, and we're going to be working on the chassis. And notice now this is a bathtub style versus the other style that is on the Hot Shot.